Hey there, my name is Clara, and I've been living here in Japan for almost 7 to 8 years now. I'm actually quite nervous today since this will be my first full on video where it's just me sitting down comfortably in my pajamas and I'm having a one on one chat with all of you. Anyway, I've been reading your comments on my other videos as well as the direct messages I've received on Instagram, and it seems like quite a few of you have shown a keen interest about the whole interpretation translation industry, and I wanted to address that curiosity, which is one of the reasons why I actually started this YouTube channel. I just feel like this industry has not been receiving recognition that it really deserves, but because of the confidentiality of the nature of our work, we cannot share the details on what we really do. So maybe that's one of the reasons, and I just wanted to help other people get to know this industry. So yeah, but before we dive in, I just want to mention that I no longer work in the industry for about a year now. So the insight that I'm about to give comes from my past experiences. I'm gonna put on the screen the sequence of the topic that I am going to talk about. So if you are already familiar with some of it, please feel free to skip on the next part. And I'm also gonna put the timestamp in the description box. Let me start by introducing this Japanese terms. So we have tsuyaku, which means interpretation, and hongyaku, which means translation. So in Japanese, it doesn't usually happen, but in English, some people tend to interchange these words, which they actually have two different meanings. Almost the same, but different in a way. So when it comes to translation, you translate a source language to the target language through writing, while in interpretation, you interpret a source language to the target language through speaking. For translation, having a strong set of writing skills in the target language is undeniably a huge plus. However, it is also crucial to have the ability to understand the source language and its cultural nuances, because this then lets you navigate through a maze of similar words and meanings and handpick that one word that fits the most to ensure that the document is translated in precision. Although there are companies that does not require the exact translation of the original content, instead they request to have the approximate translation. This usually happens when the information is meant to be communicated immediately, or they just want to have an idea what is written in the material. Now, shifting our focus to interpretation. Interpretation has an array of categories and types, but I am only going to zoom in on the ones that I am most familiar with. So first up, there's simultaneous interpretation, where, as its name suggests, the interpreter interprets in real time or simultaneously. This is usually done in rotation, either by pair or more. This is because when you do simultaneous interpretation, you tend to give your full attention to the speaker, which causes fatigue on the interpreter, and when done in a longer period of time, it can also cause harm to their health. I also heard that there are interpreters that had fainted because they have been interpreting for a longer period with no replacements. Then we've got consecutive interpretation. This is where the presenter pauses after like maybe 3 to 5 minutes, or after the complete thought of a paragraph or a phrase, to give the interpreter some time to interpret. This is the type of interpretation I mostly used during my time in the industry, and unlike simultaneous interpretation, we don't usually go by pair. But what I have noticed during my time is that when I interpreted for more than 3 to 4 hours, I start to lose my focus. I can't process what they are saying. It's like sometimes I notice myself just staring blankly at something. I had an experience translating for like 9 hours straight with no breaks. This is no break, and there are also times like 10 hours. Sometimes we started around 1 p.m. and we would end up like 12 midnight. So your brain will really stop working at some point, and of course this will result in a not good quality of interpretation. So I do hope that the companies will also consider consecutive interpreters to at least have even a 5-minute break in between. So why did I took the time to explain all of this? This is because this will help us answer some of your questions. So I gathered most of the questions that I usually received. Before I start answering those questions, I just like to touch one more topic. There are a lot of field under this industry. We have like interpreters who specializes in IT, specializes in medical, legal, business, and so on. The field that I was in is called Technical Internship Training Program. I'm not going to explain the full details about this program, but just to give you a basic idea, TITP is where Japan accepts foreigners to work as a trainee in a specific industry, like for example food processing, warehousing, distribution, bakery, I think dessert, agriculture, and so much more for a certain period of time, because the interns are still not used to Japanese culture, Japanese law, and they also can't speak Japanese that much yet. And also work related, like there are rules they're not sure of. So my task is to provide assistance and support for them. That is just one part of the task that I had. And another task that I had is to, of course, translation, manual, creating documents that are related with their visa extension, and so much more. One question that I got is, do I get to go to other places? Since we have interns in different prefectures, so I got to travel in different parts of Japan. But one of my friends is also in the same field, the TITP. Their company is more in a large scale. So aside from having business trips inside Japan, they also have international business trips. So with the example that I just gave, it doesn't mean that you have the same field, it's going to be the same. It still depends on your company. It depends on your company, it depends on the field that you're going to. If you are interested to have this kind of business trips in Japan or international business trips, Japanese companies usually add it on their job description. So there's like Shucho Ari or Kaigai Shucho Ari. So if either of these two is written in the description, so that means you get to have business trips, but companies are very different from each other. Now on to the next question. This question, it was really hard for me to answer. Like when I read this question, I was like, So the question is, like, is it stressful to be an interpreter and translator? I think yes, definitely it's a yes. I thought that when you work as an interpreter or translator, that is the only job that you're going to do. But it turns out that it's just part of what you have to do among other many things that you are going to be asked. So my mother tongue is not English, and my knowledge in Japanese still needs improvement. And I'm not an eloquent speaker. I am not very good in putting my thoughts into words. So when I translate or interpret, I don't know how to arrange it in the target language in a way that is easier to understand. And another thing that stressed me out is most of the people will only see you as a tool, which is, I mean, correct. It's similar with other translation apps, like it's tool, but in a human form. But you know, we are still human. I mean, I had clients that would send me this one page of document, and once it translated, like immediately. Did you got used to the Japanese work culture? To some extent, I'd like to say yes, but I can't say that I got used to it 100%. Maybe the adjustment that I really did was to be on time, because I'm usually late. Like if the meeting is 2 p.m., you have to be there 5 minutes earlier or even 10 minutes earlier. And the way they send emails is very polite. Unlike when it's in English, you can be polite and cool at the same time, but in Japanese it's just like overloaded politeness. And I think Japanese work culture is a vast topic, so I'm not really sure which part of it that person wanted to ask. But I mean, if you're watching this video, if you have like a specific part that you want to ask about the Japanese work culture, please leave a comment and I'll answer it. Promise. Do I need to have a bachelor's degree? The first company that I worked with in Japan, they were the ones who processed my documents, my visa. So I'm not really familiar with procedure or the process, but I do remember that they did ask me for a scanned copy of my diploma and my school records, like grades. I actually did some research about this as well. What I understand is that you have to have at least like 2 years in university. So let's say you took a 4-year or 5-year course, but you only finished 2 years of that. You can actually apply for a working visa as a translator here, and 2-year vocational course. It is also possible. That's what I understand with the articles that I read. But to be safe, I think it is best to ask your nearest immigration office for the procedure or the requirements. It should be available in their website. If not, I think you can like visit them and ask them for the procedures. I think that is the best way, because again, time changes and my documents was processed like 8 years ago, so I'm not sure if this is still new. And is JLPT or TOEIC required? Right now, I am working in a foreign-owned company. So what I have observed is that for foreign-owned companies, since they need someone who speaks English, your level of JLPT is not necessarily required, as long as you can communicate, even if it's like not the perfect like grammar, but as long as you can convey what you want to say, and as long as you can understand their Japanese, that's not a problem with them. The thing that they really looked into is your level of English speaking skills. This is where they check your TOEIC, and some companies, it depends on the position. Some require like 600 and up TOEIC score. Other companies like 700, 800. And for Japanese companies, maybe not just Japanese companies in general, who needs or requires a person who speaks more Japanese than English, they do require JLPT. In the previous company that I was in, with the TITP, they did require a JLPT level of N2. They also accept JLPT N3 holders, but I think the starting salary would be a little bit different, like not that much, like just like teeny bit fraction. That is based on my previous company. And I heard like some companies may consider your application even if you don't have JLPT, as long as you can communicate in Japanese and of course understand them as well. Do you get vacations? In Japan, they have this paid leave system wherein if you work 80% for 6 months, you will have 10 days paid leave. But the number of days will again differ with the number of your working hours. And out of the 10 days, 5 days is required to be used. So what will happen with the remaining 5 days? You can still use this actually, because this is your benefit, but there's no assurance that you can use it, especially if your company is busy and you don't have any replacements and you're all alone. There are companies who allows you to use all of your paid leave, but in my case, I couldn't really use up all of those 10 days paid leave every year because of work. I didn't have any replacements, so it was a little bit difficult. With this paid leave system, there's like a more detailed explanation with this. Like, it's just not 10 days. It will increase along the years. And if you are interested to know more about that, maybe I can create a separate video about that. Aside from the paid leave, we also have Golden Week vacation. We have a summer vacation. We also have year-end vacation. But again, this differs with companies. Like my previous company, we have all of these 3 vacation, but on holidays we work. So even if it is a national holiday in Japan, we still work. In my current company, we had a Golden Week vacation. We also had a year-end vacation, but we didn't had a summer vacation. Like there is like this 5 to 10 days, I think. Yeah, 5 to 10 days summer vacation in August, but our company didn't follow that schedule. Instead, they allowed us to use our paid leave because we don't work during holidays in Japan. So I think it would differ with your company's regulation. Speaking of which, actually these vacations, it is usually included in the description. So they would have it, I think, at the end part, like GW. So if it's like GW, that means it's Golden Week, and then Nenmatsu Nenshi means year-end, year start vacation, and Natsuyasumi means summer vacation, and then Fuyuyasumi, winter vacation. So it is written there, and just make sure when you apply for a job, you get to confirm all of this. How much is the salary? So the salary is a very difficult topic because it's just different. Even if it's the same field, let's say I was in TITP and my friend was in same field, TITP, but our pays were different. The benefits that we had were different. So it's very difficult to give a general answer, especially when you include simultaneous interpretation. I mean, simultaneous interpretation, they do get higher rates compared to consecutive interpreters, but this will still differ on which field you belong to. I can give a salary range, but in the field that I was in, the salaries that I've seen, other people would start from 180. Like I saw a job post in Tokyo, and it was the same field, which is TITP, but the starting salary was 180 with transportation allowance. And that's it. No housing allowance, no car. But there are also others who started around like 200,000, but their housing is half paid by the company. Transportation is also most of the time the company gives out transportation allowance. So other benefits would be housing allowance, like they will pay half of your rent, and like other companies actually like pay the whole price of your rent and even your utility bill. So it would really differ on which field you are and which company you work with. My starting was salary in the ITP field. It was 200,000 and they paid half of my rent, and yeah, they did raise my salary after like a year and a half, but not that much. And I mean, aside from the salary, they also give out bonuses, and again, bonuses will still differ from company to company. Other companies would give like once a year, other companies would give twice a year, thrice a year, 4 times a year. It depends on the company. And what else? Is that all? I think I answered everything. If you still have other questions, drop it down in the comments section below, and I promise I will make time to answer everything. If you have other like discussion or topics that you want me to discuss in the future, like for example the paid leave system in Japan and other stuff, just leave a comment down below and I'll try my best to get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching. Bye.